1059's right here.
Right now.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Well, we are just starting here with you, and I just realized I've already made a mistake. I think the title went out on the live stream, and it says Monday Reaction Show. Well, folks, it ain't Monday. It is most decidedly not Monday. It is Tuesday, but Bill was telling me that back in the old radio days, they called this, what'd you call it, Moose Day?
Manoo's Day.
Manoo's Day. Manoo's Day is a combination of Monday, Tuesday, because it's like a Monday, but it's really a Tuesday because we're coming off holiday. Okay, so that's my only good excuse, is that it feels like a Monday because yesterday, in fact, was Monday, Memorial Day. Happy belated Memorial Day to everyone. Hope you enjoyed the long weekend. Welcome into the show live in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes. That's your local Farm Bureau insurance agents all across the state of Mississippi. Y'all can hit me up and be a part of the show. I'm really thankful that you are tuning in, and invite you to be a part of the show in several different ways. You can drop me a comment on the live stream. Sven even dropped a comment on here before the show even started. He's on YouTube. He just saw, he got the notification that it was coming and that it was scheduled. And before we even started, he hit me up like from the time machine. It's like he's in a time machine somehow. But Sven said hello from the finally sunny and half-decent warm Berlin, Germany, 76 degrees Fahrenheit right now. He did have a question for me. He said, did anybody from the NCAA contact you or spoke to you about uneven? My guess is no, because they don't care. All they want is money, 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 money. Yeah, no, I haven't been contacted by anybody from the NCAA as far as I know. Now, I have had a couple of calls come in from like 800 numbers. I just avoid those. So if that's them, I'm not getting it. Okay, but maybe that's not them. Maybe that's somebody. Maybe I owe somebody money or something like that, speaking of. But no, I have not heard from them. Appreciate you bringing it up, Sven, and appreciate you watching it very much. Joy is on Facebook. She's in. She says Hail State. And Stacy says that they've purchased the tickets for this weekend and gave us a big Hail State shout out right off the bat. Now, it is a live show. I'm in the studio. Bill is here. We're talking live, and we have some guests for you coming up. In a few, we're going to talk with John Cohen if everything goes according to plan. He was in on the selection committee deal. I don't know a whole lot about it, but we'll ask him. And then if everything goes according to plan, later in the show today, maybe as late as late hour 3 of today's show, but we'll get a chance to talk to Scott Foxhall, the pitching coach of Mississippi State, because they're having practice today, as is everybody. As we make our way through the week, we'll reach out and see if we can talk with the folks at Southern Miss and Ole Miss, because those two are going to potentially match up there in Oxford. And, of course, they're going to be playing there in Oxford. And you got 3 other teams coming. So we have it in front of us. The field of 64, State's number 7 seed. It's a national seed, so they get to host a Super if they can get through it. We'll talk about that. Ole Miss is a 12? But anyway, they're hosting, and a pretty strong field of teams going to Oxford to play a regional. Get into that. Arkansas is the number 1, and they are by far the number 1 after winning the SEC tournament championship over the weekend. Jason in Flagstaff texted the show right off the bat. He said, "Is this thing on?" It is on, Jason. If you hear my voice, this is a real deal. We are with you here today on this Tuesday. Flowood Reb shot me a text here, and it says, I watched your documentary, Uneven, yesterday on YouTube. I must say it was very informative, entertaining, very well done. And Flowood Reb says, I would encourage anyone who's a college baseball fan to check it out. Well, Flowood Reb, really do appreciate that tip of the cap. It's, it's something I'm proud of. It's something that, information can change. Things can change. Who knows? You may have, if we were to, pop up and have a state lottery pop up here in Mississippi, then that might change things. I say a state lottery, we have the lottery, but I'm saying lottery scholarships where you have money to help attract in-state students, something like that. I don't know. That could change things. But for now, that piece, I think I'm proud of it mostly just because it is, like you say, it's informational and potentially educational for anyone who loves college baseball. It's not intended to take shots at anybody. It's intended to show that baseball is unlike any other NCAA sport in the way it is crunched financially, from a staff to player ratio standpoint, from one school to the next. It's very uneven, and it's hard to judge one program against another. But nobody would ever advocate for, taking away scholarships to even it out. You just want to add them. And I think it's definitely possible, okay, for it to be done. It's just smart people have to figure all that stuff out. But I really do appreciate you watching it and bringing it up. If you haven't seen it again, you can check it out if you're wondering like where he saw it. He mentioned it's on YouTube. There's one link to the website which will kind of take you where you can see it there, or just click and go over to YouTube. Just go to unevenbaseball.com. It's all right there, unevenbaseball.com. I got it linked on Twitter as well. So Flowood Reb, I appreciate you watching, and thanks for your kind words here to start the show. All right, like I said, it is not Monday, even though it feels like Monday. It is, in fact, Tuesday, but it's a Reaction Tuesday. It's our first chance to chat with you and with others about what came out of the weekend, and that is we know who's coming to Starkville for a regional. We know who's going to Oxford. We know who's going where, who's in, who's not, and there's plenty to get into. And a committee of folks made that decision. It's my understanding John Cohen, the athletics director of Mississippi State, was in on that. And we're fortunate enough here to start the show with you on the Davini Equipment phone line. He's going to maybe answer a question or two about it because I got questions. He's with us on your radio right now on the Davini phone. John, really do appreciate some time on this Tuesday coming out of a holiday. And I'm sure that for the committee, the selection process, it was really easy, nothing to it, ho-hum, and no controversy at all, right?
Matt, I tell you, our committee chair, who's a great man, Jeff Altier, I think he said it very well yesterday from the standpoint of we just didn't have as much data this year as we've had in years past. So I think that the committee are made up of really super responsible people who take it seriously. They know that, let's be honest, this is the lifelong goal and career, not only coaches, but student athletes. There's a lot on the line, and they all know that. They respect that, and they want to, they want to do their very best. So, was it perfect? No. Were there some unfortunate circumstances? Yes. But for the most part, I think it's a pretty darn good field.
John, for you personally, serving on this baseball committee, the selection committee like this, is this the first time for you, or have you done that before?
No, I've never. This is the first year. My first year was actually a year ago, but obviously we went through the cycle and did not have a conference season or a postseason. So this is my first year to be in the room when the field was being created, and it was really a great experience. Although, there were times I was in the room. There was times because of a conflict of interest, I was forced to recuse myself and walk out. But yeah, and I hope that continues to happen, because the reason that happens is because Mississippi State's in the mix.
Yeah. So
when Mississippi State is being discussed, or things that could indirectly affect Mississippi State, obviously I have to leave the room.
Gotcha. In terms of how State's regional happened, and with VCU, Campbell, and Samford coming in there, once you saw that was going to be the field coming to Starkville, what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, my first was, oh my God, Samford destroyed us like 10 years ago. I remember that clearly.
Yeah.
Down at Florida State. they can really hit. They're very well coached, and I'm thinking, my God, they have to be like the fourth or fifth best 4 seed in the entire tournament. There's 16 number 4 seeds. I would put Sanford up against a whole lot of them. They're really good, and that's not traditionally who you see in your ballpark as a 4 seed. I thought Campbell, I can't remember the exact number, they won 23 in a row.
I think I think it's VCU that won all those games in a row.
Right, they've won 23 in a row, and I've watched Campbell play a ton this spring on television. They're really good. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think if you add the RPIs of all of them together and you divide it out, I think it's the second or third best region in the entire country.
It's a question I never thought I'd ask.
That was my immediate thought.
Yeah. It was a heck of a question I never thought I'd ask you, John. Are live camels allowed on campus? I'm really only halfway kidding. I don't know if they have a live mascot at Campbell or not, to be honest with you.
I don't know, but I'll say this much. These camels can hit, they can throw, they can defend. They have real arms, and just because it's not a name that we've traditionally heard a lot, that doesn't mean they can't play. And I'll tell you what, the casual baseball fan out there probably thought that the Stony Brooks had no shot when they went to Alex Box, but the people in their dugout thought otherwise. So just because you're not familiar with the name doesn't mean they can't play.
Or like when Coastal Carolina made it to Omaha, a lot of people thought, oh, that's cute. That's a neat story. Coastal Carolina made it to Omaha. About 10 days later, they won the whole thing. I mean, and if there ever was a that's baseball, we got plenty of those types of examples, don't we? That's baseball.
Yeah, exactly, because there's just a tradition. This happened to me 100 years ago. I leave high school. I'm 5'9", 5'10". I weigh 155 pounds like every other person in the country who's graduated from high school. And then 2 years later, I'm 6'1", and I weigh 200 pounds. It's just, that happens. It happens a lot. Sure. Boy, I don't even want to mention my name with David Robinson in the same sentence because that's ridiculous. But, there's a reason why out of high school he ends up in the Naval Academy, and then he ends up being arguably one of the greatest players in NBA history. Things can change to the male body from 18 to 22 years old. And the kid who is throwing 84 is throwing 94. It happens. And it's hard to predict who that's going to happen to. And a lot of these teams are successful. I don't know if I've ever seen a better group of 120 schools to be considered than what we had this year because of the age as well. When you look at the average, Indiana State's one of those teams. I have to look at Indiana State's roster. I think they have 9 kids on the roster who are red shirt seniors. You never see that in baseball.
Right.
And then they have a group of 5 or 6 red shirt juniors. So COVID gave the extra year. There's a 5-round draft from Major League Baseball, and here we go. All those kids who are going to be 6th through 15th rounders who are going to sign as juniors all came back. And by the way, Mississippi State had two of those juniors, and they were first rounders, and they didn't come back. And now we're playing, 2 guys in the middle who had never played 1 inning of SEC baseball before this year. Mm-hmm. So I think those are the kinds of things that are important to recognize as well.
For sure. Well, and John, I look at Tanner Allen at Mississippi State, the year he's having this year. I look at Tim Elko over there at Ole Miss, the year he's having, a Nikhazy on the mound for them. And it just shows you when you pile up experience on the back of a guy who's got ability and you just pile up years of experience, those guys, they're cut above. And a big reason is that experience, isn't it?
It really is. And listen, sometimes the reason you have that experience is just out of sheer luck. Tanner Allen, just as an example, he's going to be a top 5-round pick last year, except he hurts his hand early on. The scouts don't get to see him because the season is canceled. And Tanner Allen flies under the radar. I think if you had to ask anybody on our coaching staff how big it was to have him come back, they knew well before he was the player of the year in the SEC. That's a huge deal. Tim Elko is, my God, what he's doing on one knee is incredible. Mm-hmm. He's one of the best hitters in college baseball, and the maturity and the grit and resolve he's shown is remarkable. Yeah, I mean, those are probably the guys who don't come back in a normal draft year, but there's nothing normal about that year. So, yeah, I mean, there's some special circumstances that allow them to be back playing for their teams.
Sure. John Cohen on your radio. If you're just tuning in, he's the athletics director of Mississippi State, and he's on the baseball committee that filled out the bracket that you're seeing now that's headed into the NCAA tournament. Some teams in, some teams not, and different teams going to this regional, that regional. John, elsewhere in the SEC, I look at Alabama getting in, and now no easy task. They got to go play in Ruston, a really good baseball team, especially down there. But when the people in the room and everybody was looking at Alabama, not only the resume, but I guess what I'm driving at is, did those two wins at the SEC tournament, you think that's what put Alabama over the edge possibly?
I was watching the SEC tournament, and Alabama does have 2 wins. Of course, one of them is against the number 3 seed overall in the tournament, Tennessee. They beat Tennessee twice, which I think was a factor. Here's what I'm going to say. Alabama was a 31 RPI when we were making decisions. And if Alabama's not in the field, we're going to go from number 1 all the way to 40.
Yeah.
Everybody getting into the NCAA tournament except number 31 Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look at their resume against some of the others who are in the 40s, you're using the same data points that actually make up the RPI. Who did they beat? Not necessarily when did they beat them. I know Alabama struggled down the stretch, but I will say the RPI doesn't care when you win or lose games. Is it a factor? Yes. Is it the factor? I don't think so. I think it's an overall body of work, and Alabama's overall body of work, which is reflected in their RPI, to me was worthy. You can put them side by side with 5 or 6 other, schools that we had in consideration. I think there were a lot of schools that had really, really strong consideration, but I think with where Alabama was, I truly believe they were a tournament team, especially with the fact that they won 14 SEC baseball games.
This field coming to Starkville this weekend, I know it all gets started on Friday, and am I right, John? The host team can choose. Is that true? The host team can choose which of those slots, the 2 p.m. or the 6 p.m. you want to play on Friday. I'm not familiar with it. How is that decision made?
Yeah, well, you get to request. You get to make that request. It's not always granted, but you get to request it, and I think a significant amount of time it is granted by the NCAA.
Okay, gotcha. How do you feel about it, playing that early game on Friday?
Well, there's only one reason not to do it, and that's I do recognize that it can be inconvenient to our fans. So if you're playing an afternoon game, people have to work for a living. It makes it more difficult. I know kids. I don't know. Are kids still in school, Matt? I don't. My kids are older, so I can't remember if school's still going on.
I think most of them are out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that helps, but it is more inconvenient for our fans, and we're apologetic. But outside of that, there's no reason not to play the first game. Skip Bertman was the first guy who really started doing this. I think in the 90s and into the 2000s, because you want to take BP on the field. If you're playing the second game, you can't take BP on the field. You could, but it's just not guaranteed, right?
Right.
You got a better chance of having to play 2 games on Saturday the next day. You have weather issues and everything else. If you play that first game, and this actually happened to us back in 2016, you play that first game and you get it done, and you have, if you're fortunate enough to win that game and that next game gets rained out, now you're going to play somebody who's going to have to play a doubleheader the next day before they're going to play before they play you, probably in really warm weather. You get to watch game 2. If you're playing in game 2, you don't get to watch game 1 because, Matt, you're getting your team prepared to play in game. You're preparing your team to play while game 1's going on. Once your game is over, you get to watch game 2, you get to chart it up, you get to watch everything up close and personal. But again, if you're in game 2, during game 1, you got BP, you got ground ball work, you're going over the scouting report with your players, and now you've missed most of game 1 when you had an opportunity to scout. The longer rest time, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, your kids automatically, no matter who they're playing, have a longer rest time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the fifth thing really is you know exactly what time your game's going to start. When you're on the back end, you just have no idea. You can have extra innings, you can have rain delays. And listen, the thing that 18 to 22-year-olds crave, all of them, is predictability. That's, when you flip the script on them, all of a sudden, now, hey, you're going to have to wait now. Hey, you're going to have to wait 2 more. I mean, it just can play with the emotions of kids, and these are young people. So really the only reason not to play the first game is because you're fans. But I think our fans understand that, man, and I think our fans want to have the best advantage we can possibly have. I
agree with it. I agree. There's not a lot of moaning going on because I think a lot of people do understand that. John, hey, thanks. I got a million more questions I could ask, but the music started, so we'll do it another time. I just appreciate it here right off the bat on a Tuesday coming off holiday, and we look forward to seeing you this weekend. Thank you.
You got it, Matt. Have a great one.
You too. That's John Cohen, Athletics Director, Mississippi State. He's talking about Samford. My dad still talks about that home run that kid for Samford hit in the Tallahassee Regional years ago against Mississippi State. He was sitting there for it. He says, I still to this day have never seen anything hit like that. You never know. You never know. Just getting started. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their No Bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi. And that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty.
Who, if he's not talking sports, he's fishing for bass, okay? But he's right here, right now. Online at 1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
All right, here we go. Back with you, rolling along. It's a Reaction Tuesday, since it's our first show of the week. Appreciate y'all being here. Go ahead and shoot me those texts. We'll get the conversation going. The Country Pleasing Sausage text line, 885-ESPN. It's a 601 number, 885-ESPN or 885-3776. On the live stream, drop a comment if you're watching over here on Facebook. Bob said, regarding uneven, very glad to see many coaches and ADs speak up. Ron Polk fought the battle for decades by himself as coaches feared the NCAA in the 80s and 90s when Ron Polk was so outspoken about this limited scholarship mess. Bob, you're right about that. He's if you're still new to that subject when he says uneven, check it out, unevenbaseball.com. You can watch a piece that kind of helps to maybe educate on what the situation is and what baseball coaches go through in terms of giving out their limited number of scholarships, still fielding a competitive roster. And I think there's some truth to that, Bob. Back in the day, Ron was sort of the lone wolf. He was the attack dog, and there were a lot of coaches and other folks behind the scenes encouraging him, I think, over the years, but they weren't out front with him, out on the front lines, because there was this fear of the egotistical leaders in the NCAA that, hey, if you if you ding that ego a little bit, they don't respond favorably. In fact, they'll come take something else away. Ron used to say, what are they going to do? Come and take our third child from us? I mean, what else are they going to take? But you're definitely right about that. Thanks for your comment, and thanks for tuning in. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the interview with John Cohen. I did. It was over too quick, but a little bit of insight there. A few things I gleaned from it. One is, in fact, he, as the athletics director at State, he's on the baseball selection committee, filling out the field of 64, and so he has to recuse himself, leave the room, whatever, when they're discussing Mississippi State. I don't know this, but he might have to do the same thing for a rival like Ole Miss. I don't know that. He did, talk about some of the factors that probably went into play into Alabama getting in the tournament. They're a rival SEC school, but he's certainly familiar with that. I don't know that he was talking about, from the experience of talking about it in the committee or not. It's really none of my business whether he's in there or not, based on who they think he can talk about. But and I don't even know how many or the makeup of the committee. I just knew that I'd seen where John was on it, and I thought it's pretty telling. He can't necessarily be in there and stump for his team, and that wouldn't be ethical anyway. It just wouldn't be. Nor would it be ethical for anybody in the room to look for some way to put another team or another school at a disadvantage. That stuff just doesn't happen. And, he made great points, I think, in showing the way I feel about it. When I saw the bracket come out yesterday, is immediately what started to happen is this conversation between fans and between this school and that school right here in our state. The conversation between Ole Miss fans and State fans about Ole Miss thinking they got a really tough draw, as compared to they think State got a really easy draw. And my first reaction to that stuff is, well, none of y'all know. what's easy and what's not. You just don't know. About the only given is that Arkansas and Vanderbilt are better than everybody else. That's about the only given. Okay? But other than that, there just aren't givens. You don't know who is and who isn't. Some people react to like a name school like Florida State being in the Oxford Regional. And they have, a good team and good players and stuff. But there are a lot of teams out there in the field of 64 that don't have the name you recognize on the front of the jersey, that they are actually much better teams than Florida State this year. There are a lot of 4 seeds out here in the NCAA tournament field that have an ace pitcher that will pitch their first game that's better than any pitcher on Florida State's staff. That's true. Yet, certain groups of these fans will get across the line from each other and argue which regional, somebody, oh, we got a tough draw, or oh, they got an easy draw. Well, frankly, 99.999% of the people who argue that kind of thing don't know. They don't know who's good and who's not. And for if you take me, for instance, it'd be a little bit disingenuous for me to come in here and tell you all about how great a team VCU is, Virginia Commonwealth, because they've won, as John said, 20-something games in a row. Well, I'll be honest with you. I hadn't seen them play. I have not seen VCU. Have you? Anybody seen? Raise your hand if you've seen Virginia Commonwealth play a baseball game this year. Well, I got news for you. Nobody's hands up. Okay? Nobody's seen them play. But I can look at their record. I can see who they've played. And all in the world you and I both can do is sort of kind of, maybe gleam a little bit from their record versus teams they've played and that kind of sort of thing. And, and the other fact that what you're pointing out is, at this level of baseball, it's a pretty good, it's a heck of an accomplishment to win a whole bunch of games in a row like that. That's not easy to do in any league. So, and then in any given year, on average, you have 16 number 1 seeds, and on average in every given year, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 5 of those don't make it to super regionals. In other words, on average, you're going to have 8 super regionals, right, with 16 teams in them, and somewhere in the neighborhood of about 5 to 6 of those teams are going to be 2 seeds or worse. That's the average if you smooth it out across the years. So in the level of competition, it factors in there. Is the SEC a better league than Conference USA? Yeah, it is, top to bottom. That's why there's more teams in from the SEC. If you win a certain number of games, you win 25 games against SEC teams, that's about like winning 30 or more against teams from another conference. That's just a fact. Okay, we get that. But when we talk about baseball, the thing is, you're not always the same team. Here's what I mean by that. In football, if you play the Buccaneers, every time you play the Buccaneers, Tom Brady is a quarterback. Tom Brady goes and takes snaps for the Buccaneers in every game they play. But in baseball, it's not that way. In baseball, you play 3-4 games against Ole Miss. Guess what? You face Doug Nikhazy once. What about the other guys? Like, I know what I'm getting out of Doug Nikhazy, but he can't pitch but 1 game a weekend. What about the rest of them? It's like they're going to play Southeastern Missouri State or whatever the team is. Well, they got a guy who struck out like over 100 and he's got over 100 strikeouts this year and doesn't walk anyone. Okay, now it's against that level of competition, but what if he goes out and strikes out 11 or 12 Ole Miss hitters? Then what? You have a close ball game, potentially, and across a 10 or 15 game slate, there's no comparison between those two teams. But put that one guy on the mound, that's their Tom Brady. I know it's a weird analogy, but you get what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is the juvenile least common denominator bickering back and forth from one fan base to the other about, oh, we got screwed and our regional is really hard and yours is easy. And the other one going, oh, yeah, well, ours is not as, I'm leaving it to everybody else. That's what I'm doing. You can go to another show or you can go online to Twitter or something like that and you can get into all of that you want to get into. What I'm telling you is my perspective on that is that stuff is really very, very unintelligent. It really reeks of a lack of wisdom, especially when it comes to a sport like baseball. And frankly, in the state of Mississippi, 90% of our fans are better than that. At State, at Southern Miss, at Ole Miss, they understand that. I mean, it's just like John bringing up losing to Samford in the Tallahassee Regional years ago. Chris Stratton was a first-round draft pick. He's still pitching in the major leagues. Right now, to this day, Chris Stratton still pitching for the Pirates, and it was a first-round draft pick. And that team lost to Samford in the Tallahassee Regional, the same team that's coming to start with this weekend. They had a kid hit a home run that hadn't landed yet. My dad doesn't overstate stuff. He doesn't go around talking about how awesome this is and how huge that. Let me tell you, he saw that home run by that kid for Samford in person, and he has not stopped talking about it. He says, Matt, I've been watching baseball my whole life, played it my whole life. I've never seen one hit like that. Ask Ole Miss. Tennessee Tech's baseball program on a different planet. They didn't even sniff the NCAA tournament this year. A few years ago, ran Ole Miss out of their own regional in Oxford because they hit bombs. Bomb after bomb after bomb. Ask them. 90% of our fans understand it. It's this maybe 10% that want to look at just names on the front of the jersey and go, oh, our regional's so hard and they favored you. Or no, they didn't favor us. And went back and take it out on the playground, kids. The rest of us are going to have a real conversation about this going forward right after this. Lots of comments on the live stream. Tons of texts to come to here. Jay and Hogjowl and Denzel and Flowood and Nick and Patrick and Jonathan. And then I'm coming to the phone line as well to Lynn. All of that and more. Stick around.
There's a lot of noise when it comes to 5G.
We're 5G ready.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com a couple weeks ago. Went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's virtual tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. Bet you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O Instant Pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good, busy day dessert. Jell-O Instant Pudding.
And it's streaming right now online at thezone1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
All right, coming to the phone. First, though, real quick, Hogjowl texted the show. Hogjowl. Riding high right about now, man. I tell you what, they just chewed up the SEC tournament and spit it out. Carried the trophy with them back to Fayetteville, number 1 seed. Omaha, here we come. Hogjowl texted and he said, he paid me a real compliment. He said, all your work is really good and maybe overlooked by some, but Uneven was really outstanding. It's lots of hard work putting together quality programs like you do. Well, Hogjowl, thank you. Tip of the cap to you, sir. And you're right. It is hard work, and I've worked hard at it and got the ability and have kind of acquired the knowledge of how to do some of that stuff in the video space. And I enjoy doing it. Telling the stories is really kind of what is the key to it. He's talking about Uneven, the baseball documentary. Check it out, unevenbaseball.com. But it takes a while, that's for sure, when you kind of are, again, lone wolfing the thing. It can take a while. But I think that one is an example that, there's a lot of people out here that are producing a lot of things where they have 15 different people all hired and on the payroll to do certain jobs. And frankly, it doesn't always take that many, or it shouldn't. Not every production should require that many people. But I appreciate it very much. Y'all check it out. All right, Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer, Lynn, is hanging on line 1. Appreciate you being patient, Lynn. What's up?
How about it, Mr. White?
Yo.
Well, as we both believed to start with, last week, the road to Omaha still goes through Starkville, so there was no need to panic.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the whole seat tournament draws and all stuff goes, I know theoretically you're supposed to get, the higher seed has an easier draw. Like Arkansas should be the easiest, and so forth. So Ole Miss really ain't got nothing to say about that because we're ahead of them. The team that's got something to complain about would be Tennessee, I think. They might have got hosed. Yeah. But I don't think nobody else can say anything. But my question for you, Matt, is what do you think about our pitching situation? We've already played Sanford this year and handled them pretty well. I kind of agree with some other people I've heard. Maybe throw out a midweek guy or a Sunday guy and let them try to get game 1 and kind of put the rotation from there.
Yeah.
Or what are you hearing anything, or what do you think? Because if we can't beat Sanford with a 3 or 4 starter, we're in trouble anyway.
Yeah, and some of it may be some of it might be righty lefty also. That I don't know. If I wish I could be a fly on the wall of their scouting report for Samford, because if they look at them and say to themselves, Lynn, they go, we really want to throw a right-hander to these guys. Maybe they have left-handed lineup. Maybe they have right-handed hitters who don't hit righties as well as they do, and right. You just want the matchup. Well, if you want to throw a righty at them, it's like, well, we probably don't want to throw Bednar in the first game, and that changes your decision also. These things are different. We do know that. Last week, even just going ahead and looking ahead, Jay in Baltimore brought it up here on the show, and I sort of fell in the category of, until we see who you're playing, I'm for throwing your number one on the first game. Because you're not winning. Right. The chances of you winning your regional, if you don't win the first game, slim anyway. And for the very reason John Cohen brought up, all these 4 seeds and mid-majors and stuff are loaded with seniors this year anyway. Well, he was different. And he's probably right, honestly. As he said, again, the goal here is Omaha. And if you can't go out here and find a third guy to pitch against a 4 seed and beat them, you're probably not going to Omaha anyway. So the opinions are all over the place. How do you feel about it?
I think we should start the Sunday guy or weekend guy. Personally, I do, because I feel like without a stellar pitching performance, we're still going to get enough. But we're going to play so much better than we played the last couple of weeks at home. But we're going to get enough to get the win in the first game. And I feel like we'd be better served to go at it that route.
Gotcha.
We've got enough depth in the bullpen that if we got to change out early, it'll be all right, and it won't kill us for the week, no way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would go about it. Of course, now I'm not the coach; I don't get paid that money. I don't know. I feel like he'll do the right thing. I'm not going to second guess a guy that can win 40 games in the season and 20 SEC games.
Right.
He kind of knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they get paid to make those decisions. I will tell you, Lynn, at the very end of the show today, well, I say the very end, if it goes according to plan, later in the third hour today, we're supposed to get a chance to catch up with Scott Foxhall after practice is over. And, we'll see. We'll ask the question. Maybe they know by then. Maybe we can find out.
I'm feeling they're not going to tell us if they do know. But maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, fingers crossed. Appreciate you, Lynn. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm looking at Samford. They have one win this year over an SEC team. They beat Auburn in Hoover on Wednesday, May the 12th. Okay, so the second week of May. And that was a makeup. They played them in the midweek. They were going to play a midweek against Alabama. That one got canceled. Back in April, they had midweek games against Auburn and Alabama. Lost them both. They lost at Alabama and Tuscaloosa mid-April, 19-3. Lost at Auburn 6-4. It looks to me like Samford played some of their best baseball of the year. You just look at scores and some of the teams and stuff, and the win over Auburn. It looks like they played some of their best baseball later in the year, in the month of May, because they played some teams that weren't great, but absolutely blew the doors off of some of those teams that aren't great. They played Virginia Military in early May in a series and swept them in 3 games and beat them 25-1, 11-5, and 18-1. They put up 19 last week against Western Carolina, beat them 19-7. They had a win over a good Mercer team on a Thursday, 10-8. So they gave up some runs in their conference tournament, but scored 10 runs. And Mercer is a program out of Georgia. It's always competitive in baseball. So they've scored some runs here lately. Early in the year, they didn't. They were swept by Florida early in the year. They were swept by Texas A&M early in the year. And, of course, played Mississippi State in Starkville in mid-March. State won that one 10-2. So there's the previous matchup with Samford, and that's about it. Okay, let me get to some of your comments here. There's a lot to get to here in a short amount of time. Let's see what we have. On the Country Pleasin' text line, Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. White Denzel said, Matt, I'm one of the weird baseball fans where I love the uniforms all the teams wear. States Regional has by far the best uniforms in any regional this year. Well, you have a team in there wearing brown or kind of a tan mustard color, and across the front it says Camels, then you win. Okay, you win the uniform pool. Flowwood Reb says, I love that you made an attempt to interview Vanderbilt, but of course they declined the request, obviously. Yeah, I really tried. Because, you know, just like the finished piece, the intention never was going to be to go out here and, you know, vilify anybody for having an advantage in baseball recruiting. Baseball is a sport where having the best players doesn't always mean we for sure win this game. It's just that having the best players, it adds up over the course of a long year in baseball. It's a lot different than, say, a football. But, so, yeah, I really wanted to include them. And the other thing is, too, when you talk about the scholarship thing, Flowwood, Reb, I mean, Vanderbilt has the best situation from a scholarship standpoint, the way they can stack now the needs-based aid on top of the athletic scholarship. They have the best situation. They have a situation that would be great if everybody in the country could figure out how to do it, you know, so that more kids, even if they're from poor families, even if they don't make a 29 or 30 on the ACT, can still have access to big-time college baseball if they're good enough. To me, Flowwood, Vanderbilt ought to be proud of what they are doing. It is Opportunity Vanderbilt is a phenomenal program. It ought to be the trendsetter. Everybody associated with higher education, but especially with, you know, big-time college sports, ought to look at what Vanderbilt has and what they are doing. I know they're a private school, but what they're doing through Opportunity Vanderbilt, and say, look, this is what everybody ought to shoot for. And this is the trend. Because it doesn't eliminate kids from poor families. They can figure it out. Therefore, it leads to more diverse rosters in a sport that badly, badly needs to open it up to a more diverse group of players, kids that grow up and see that as an opportunity to play that sport. They should be proud of what they're doing. And the other people are, and throughout college baseball, it's not like there's hate for Vanderbilt because they have found that. It's see what it can be. Now let's figure that out for the rest of us. See what we've been trying to tell you, how limited we are. But for some reason, Flowwood Reb, I kind of lost respect because they take a run and hide approach to that. It's like they're embarrassed that they have figured out that this unbelievable program like Opportunity Vanderbilt not only helps the university and regular students, but it helps baseball too. They should be proud of it. But it's like they run and hide from it. And I don't get it. They have nothing to be embarrassed of. It's like they're embarrassed of it. You can't do what I did and not address that, because everybody that watches it, Flowwood's going to go, well, why didn't you interview Vanderbilt? Well, I tried. Y'all stick around. Hour 2 coming up.
When it's more than just your lawn, it deserves...
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country-pleasing sausage is outstanding, whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
That sounded better in my head. Go get the $5 Grande Nachos before they make every exit. Nope. Only at Taco Bell. At limited participating locations for a limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Tax extra. Drinks excludes freezes. Double the seasoned beef as compared to the Nachos Bell Grande.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
Time, John.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Back. Here we go. Hour number 2 of the show. Off and running. Lots of ways for you to be a part of the show. Comment on the live stream. Drop a text in over here on the Country Pleasing text line. 885-ESPN 601-885-ESPN. Or call me on the Davini phone. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. 995-1059. Love to hear from you. Lots of ways for you to be a part of the show. I'll get some links later this evening sent out in case you missed the John Cohen interview at the top of the show. Started things off with him. He was on the baseball committee that divvied up regionals and sent teams here and there, and we got a 64-team field. He was on the committee. Got to be on it go through the process for the first time this year. He was actually on it last year, but of course they canceled the season because of COVID. But if you missed that and you'd like to hear it, I'll make sure there's a way for you to do so, and via podcast as well. But I will give you a heads up, too, as soon as the show ends. These live streams, if you can find it or are watching it on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, certainly on Facebook and YouTube, they live out there for a little while. And so when the show's over, you can go back on the original live stream and go back and start it over. And the John Cohen interview starts about 5 minutes into the show. And so it's pretty close to the start of the top there. All right. A few texts here from hour number 1. Nick texted the show, and this is in regards to baseball. He said, I foresee a few of the hosts getting put out of their own regionals for the very reason Cohen stated. Lots of older kids with a lot of experience out there. Folks, as we get ready to go through who is in what regional, which 3 teams are headed to Oxford, which 3 are headed to Starkville, Southern Miss got to go to Oxford, stuff like that. Well, State's got Samford and Campbell and BCU and all these others around the country. And Tennessee got a tough draw. Listen, I think what Nick is saying, I had the same thought, Nick, when I was listening to John talk about that. This is different than any other year we've had in college baseball in that there are more older players. There are more veteran players. There are more senior players, and not just seniors, but some of them are super seniors. We're talking they ought to be graduated, but they all got a free year and they're back. There's more experience out there in college baseball now. All right, what does that mean? It means that there's going to be another upset or two in a game or two that's going to lead to some differences in some regionals. Now, yes, the SEC teams, the top seeded teams, also have a veteran presence they don't normally have. That's true also. Look at a Scotty DeBrule starting at second base for Mississippi State. Given his history at the plate, came into this year as the active hits leader in the NCAA, right? Transferred in, and now he's a national seed playing for State. Would it surprise anybody if against regional pitching, if Scotty DeBrule popped out there and went and got 5 hits this weekend, 6 hits, and drove somebody? No, it wouldn't. And it's an example like one of these super seniors. These super seniors are going to do a better job with scouting reports and guessing on pitches, knowing what's coming. Does it nullify a pitcher here or there? I'm just saying, to what you're saying, Nick, it may be less predictable in some matchups with certain guys on the mound than what it has been in the past. And in the past, it's almost been unpredictable. I think we're really in for a strange ride this year, potentially. Now, I hope not, because what you want is for, I'm a State fan. You want State to get through and win 2 games of a super and go play in Omaha. See what happens. You want, if you're an Ole Miss fan, you want the same thing. Now, you're a Southern Miss fan, you're different. You want to be a 2 seed coming out of Oxford. It could happen. But I just think that, the idea of what they call chalk, we covered that on this show. this ain't one of those years. It's going to be a little bit different. All right, Davini Equipment phone line. Jay in Baltimore. Thanks for calling, Jay. What's up?
Well, hey, man, who to pitch game one is going to be the debate all week, right? Look, I've been pretty adamant about going with the third pitcher, but I got to tell you, even myself, I'm not changing my bet yet, but I'm certainly second-guessing myself, and I'll tell you why. Listen to Bart and Charlie. Usually they're very clear and adamant on what they want to do. Within their conversation of their podcast that they released yesterday, they were pretty clear up front. Go with McLeod, go with your best pitcher. But then they start talking about Stanford, the way they hit the ball. Their coach is big on launch angle, hitting the ball out. And we know McLeod, with the wind going out, might be a little susceptible to the long ball. So you said it. There's a lot of decisions to be made based on who we play, lefty, righty. So my question I'm hoping you get a chance to talk to Coach Foxhall today. So my question is really for him, how late do you want to, are you willing to tell a guy that, hey, you get the ball on the day one? Do you wait for that morning to see what the wind's going to do, line up? Just kind of curious. Do they like to let them know hours before, days before? How's that going to shape their decision? I'd love to hear that if you could ask him.
Yeah, I'm writing it down right now. How late on the starting pitcher? That is a good question because, Lynn was right. I told Lynn, I said, maybe I get a chance to ask Coach Foxhall who they're going to pitch. He's like, well, even if they know, they're not going to tell you on a Monday or a Tuesday, which is probably true. Seems like to me, you're playing on Friday. It just seems to me the absolute latest they would wait to make that decision and let the kid know would be the day before. But you're probably talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of tomorrow, and they may already know today. I bet in reality, Jay, I bet the conversation is either happening right now or right after this practice today. That's what I would bet on.
Yeah, and they probably will have a good idea about wind direction at least the day before. Last thing I'll say, back to Bart and Charlie's podcast, listen to it if you haven't, but, the way they look at it is if you can go 1-2, and then you're looking at having the other opposing team have to beat you twice with their third and fourth best pitcher. I like those odds as well. I'm still leaning towards maybe, going with our third pitcher on game one, but I like that as well. I like knowing that a team's got to beat us 2 out of 3 with their third and fourth best pitcher. That's of course if everything goes to plan, but we'll see. We're fired up about it. Looking forward to the week. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Jay. I wonder also, there's all these different factors. I'm always amazed at how good these coaches and these programs are at dealing with weather, predicting weather and stuff. And right now I'm looking ahead at the weather forecast for Starkville this weekend. Temperature is really nice. Highs in the low 80s. 83 is the high right now in Starkville, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But it just shows you there's this lingering chance of rain each day, it's fluctuating anywhere from 25% to about 35% off and on. So, you're not getting any weather predictions of big fronts moving through here that may really throw things for a loop and delay stuff. But you could get pop-up stuff, right? It's that time of year. You could always get a pop-up shower here or there. I think if you look around the country too, there are some, perimeter situations where you may have a team, they got a Friday, they're debating on whether to start them in the game one against a 4, and they look up and, we also got a front supposed to come in through here on Friday, and there's a 65 or 70% chance of rain. Well, if that's the case, the last thing you want to do is go out and start a ball game, get 3.5 innings into it. Your starter's thrown only a few pitches, and now we got a 2-hour delay. And we can't bring him back for this game. And that may play a factor at some places. I don't think that's going to be a factor around here, but that's just looking at the forecast as it is right now. Just one more thing to think about. All right, here we go. Country Please and text line. Jonathan texted. He said, you're right. I don't know where Tulane is going, but I can tell you nobody wants anything to do with that one pitcher they put on the mound against MSU this year. That's right, they're ace. He says, the one that coach stopped the game, checked his glove, because there ain't no way he was putting that much spin on the ball without cheating. Yeah. Those guys are all over that 64-team bracket, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, 4 seeds. I mean, Southern Miss has got a guy that if he's on, he is lights out. They are all Tulane's guy. I'm telling you, we could have some weird scenarios. Patrick texted the show. He said, if they start McLeod, what does he say, Sunday? And let's say win the regional, that gives McLeod 5 days to rest instead of 7. Yeah, talking about for going into the super regional the following week. That's something to consider also. Hog Jowl says, I promise you the coaches base their pitching decision on who is better suited to beat that particular team they are facing. How many righties, how many lefties. They even look at the individual players, how they hit the ball. Do they hit fly balls, ground balls? It's extremely analytical and in-depth. And you're right, Hog Jowl, and that's something that Jay just referenced. He said he was listening to Bart and Charlie's podcast. It's called Out of Left Field. You ought to listen to it if you're a baseball fan, especially a state baseball fan. Bart and Charlie do a great job. And, big on launch angles, can hit the long ball some at Samford. And, yeah, I mean, McLeod is a guy who pitches up. He gets a lot of swings and misses up. But because of that, he's given up some home runs this year. And it's his first postseason. Okay? I mean, I hate to go back to the experience thing, and Gator Greg shot it down last week, and he said, I hate to tell you this, but you played 50-something games. They're not freshmen anymore. But listen, what I'm saying is it's the first postseason for Christian McLeod, your ace. It's the first postseason for Bednar, your number 2, who's almost your ace. It's your first postseason for Fristow, a true freshman. It's the first postseason for Forsyth, your starting shortstop. And for Cameron James, your third baseman and DH. And for Logan Tanner, your catcher behind the plate. It's the first one. None of them have been through this. So I'm not saying that that's an excuse for them, but it's the truth. And in this case and any other, the truth factors in. Truth matters. All right, here's what they're saying about it. All right, the Starkville Regional, Game 1, Friday at 2 o'clock Central, Mississippi State versus Samford, VCU versus Campbell. VCU's the 2, Campbell the 3. They'll play that night. State versus Samford, Game 1. Those are your teams that are in it. Here is Chris Lemonis discussing it when the field came out.
Well, now we have a plan. It's kind of laid out in front of us, and the teams that'll be in front of us. And so we're going to have a great week of practice and get our work in, and then be ready to play Friday at 2, I guess, is the call. So we're excited. I mean, it's, this past week's been a tough week, but now it's a new season. And our kids deserve this. They've had a great year. They went on the road. They've played great teams. They played a great non-conference schedule. They played a great SEC schedule. And they're ready to play in front of their own fans.
Not to put you on the spot too much, but you mentioned playing at 2. Do you prefer the early time or an evening time, or is it just safer to play that first game in a regional?
I just think it's it's been done here for a while, so we just we keep moving with it, and just it doesn't kill us one way or the other. I like getting out there and playing first and getting it done, and it gives you a little more rest and time for the rest of the weekend. So, and if you have any rain or anything, it kind of helps you out that way too. But whatever they tell us, we'll show up and be ready to go.
What did you kind of think of the field right when it was announced? What was kind of your first reaction to it?
It's kind of like 3 really good teams. I don't even know if I can break them apart. There's a lot of wins in there. This year in the country, with so many kids coming back because of COVID, you're seeing a lot of the mid-majors have great years, and I think that's what we're seeing in our regional in terms of, the Samfords, the VCUs, the Campbells. I mean, I'm kind of from that part of the country, so, going up and playing at Campbell or playing VCU over the years, I've got knocked out of a regional by VCU back in the day. So there's really good programs, and they're hot, and all these teams are coming in here after playing good ball, so we have to be ready to go.
That's Chris Lemonis looking ahead, press conference talking about who's coming into town right after they made the selections yesterday. Here is SEC Player of the Year, Tanner Allen.
There's some fans will say that State's got an easy track or easy regional. Is there any such thing this time of year?
Well, there's no such thing this time of year. Anybody can beat anybody. That's the beautiful thing about baseball. So we're going to respect every opponent we face, like always. And like I said, man, good week of practice and get ready for this weekend. There's no easy wins this weekend. We're going to have to earn every single one of them.
Do you know anything about those teams in your field, and what did you just kind of think when you saw the draw of the teams that you'll be taking on this weekend?
We played Sanford early in the year and beat them, but as soon as I saw their name pop up as we're playing them at 2:00 Friday, I was thinking, man, we're gonna have to earn that one because those guys are really, really good and they're playing really good ball right now. So we're gonna have a good week of practice and get ready for them and not take them lightly. Come out on Friday, play with a lot of energy. Play like we're the number 7 seed, like we're hosting a tournament, and play aggressive. And I think if we do that, we'll be just fine.
That's Tanner Allen talking about the Starkville Regional. All right, so flip it to Oxford. Ole Miss hosting 3 teams. The 4 seed Southeast Missouri State, the 3 seed Florida State, and the 2 seed Southern Miss in the Oxford Regional. First game on Friday in Oxford at 2 p.m. is going to be Florida State Southern Miss. And then Ole Miss will play the night game where they will play Southeast Missouri State. Likely going to not pitch Nikhazy in the first one and save him for, game 2. But we don't know that for sure. At any rate, here is Mike Bianco once the field was announced.
Proud of our guys, to host. I read Sim's tweet the other day, for the 10th time in, I think, 16 years. So quite an accomplishment for our guys. And as far as the field, we're still learning. Southeast Missouri, obviously, very good 4 seed, conference pitcher of the year, conference champion, team that's played Arkansas and others, and had a terrific year. Obviously, Southern Miss, because we didn't play Southern this year, we don't know as much about them. But reading over the course of the year, they've pitched it great. Florida State the same, and might have the Golden Spikes Award winner on their team as well. So just a really, really good field, really competitive, and I think the thing that stands out is all 3 teams really, really pitch it.
And a quick follow-up, I know obviously the opponent the first day. Do you kind of know who you're going to throw each day out there now, or are you still working that out?
Yeah, we're still we just, like you, we heard less than an hour ago, and so I think it wouldn't be smart to rush to figure that out quite yet. With Derek and Drew and Doug throwing so early in the week, and all of them, regardless of what day they throw, would have plenty of rest. I don't think it's critical. We'll decide, this evening at some point because the guy that throws Friday is going to throw a bullpen tomorrow.
And that's Mike Bianco. A little conversation right after they find out who's coming to Oxford. That was yesterday, and we'll see if that conversation develops as we get deeper into the week. Here is Tim Elko looking forward to the regional.
Everybody's super excited, especially all the young guys and people who haven't been able to experience, a regional here at Swayze. Because, us older guys know that it gets pretty fun. It's pretty crazy. A lot of people, great environment, and, we're all pretty fired up for it.
Yeah, Tim, what was the general reaction from the guys and just the team to the draw and to the teams coming into Oxford?
Excited. It's postseason baseball, and we got a couple of good teams coming in, and that's how it's always going to be. It's never going to be easy when you're trying to get to Omaha. So we're ready for those teams to come in, and some good competition. But we're a really good team as well, so we're ready to get after it.
Now, speaking of the aforementioned Doug Nikhazy, the ace of the Ole Miss staff.
A lot of those teams that are coming in, they're really good talent, and I love like competition and like these good teams rolling in. I never want it to be easy. We just want to play good teams. So I'm excited, and I think the overall vibe was really good when we got a bunch of good teams coming in.
Hey, Doug, I know you pitched on a little bit of little bit of shorter rest than you were used to. How were you kind of following that body-wise? How are you feeling, and how are you feeling heading into postseason play?
The body feels really good. The short rest for me really ended up being one of those sort of outings for me that I felt a little bit crisper because it was less time in between outings. So I felt really crisp and sharp when I was on the mound. And when you feel like that, then you really can't even really think that much about your body. But now with more time to look after it, like I feel great, and now I'm excited that I have this long period of time before the next outing. So a lot of good recovery time for the body heading into postseason.
That's Doug Nikhazy. All right, Jay in Baltimore brought up a couple things. First of all, Tulane didn't make the tournament, so nobody's going to have to deal with the Noah Syndergaard look-alike, at least not in this postseason tournament. Yeah, he was really good. And then he says, last comment, kind of puts the pitching in perspective. He says, Ole Miss likely not going to pitch Nikhazy in Game 1 because of the great performances by their second and third pitchers in the SEC tournament. He said, unfortunately, our decision is more complicated with how our guys have delivered recently. And I think you're right about that, Jay, the decision. You know that whole recency thing, if you look at the Ole Miss staff, and it's not just their top three. Mick, what's his name? I keep wanting to say MacArthur, but it's not MacArthur. But anyway, you got Diamond and Nikhazy, and the third guy, McDaniels, that's it. That all have pitched well recently, but then you throw in the performance of Tyler Myers in his start. I guess it was against Vanderbilt, right, in the elimination game. Their situation seems to be a lot different in terms of starting pitching. It's funny how that turned over the course of 2 weeks, because throughout the entire season, the narrative and the stats backed it up.
When it's more than just your lawn, it deserves the Kubota Z400. Get a head-turning offer on class-leading speed, agility,
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Better buy Birdseye. Better buy Birdseye.
Yes, always look for this Birdseye Bird, your guarantee of top-quality frozen food. And your big Birdseye buy this week is Birdseye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Birdseye. Better buy Birdseye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O Instant Pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jell-O Instant Pudding.
DAZN and streaming.
Check it out online now.
At DAZN1059.com.
All right, back with you. Rolling along here in hour number, what is this? Hour 2. Yeah, hour 2 of the show. I'm Matt in the Bureau. The Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Farm Bureau. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau. Staying connected to you because of C-Spire. Bill, they are installing C-Spire fiber internet into my neighborhood. And I'm really tickled about it. I found out last fall that the construction was going to begin, and the COVID stuff kind of delayed a few things, but man, and it is, once it got started, it is amazing how fast it goes as far as like putting in the conduit throughout the entire neighborhood, and how, you know, it gets marked up. They can know where the gas lines are and make sure that they avoid them and all that kind of stuff. It's really neat. But I saw something this morning I didn't know was a part of this process. Bill, I wonder if you've ever seen this. It was a piece of like big construction equipment that went up the street, not on wheels, but like on tracks, like a tank. But it did not have a driver. There was no physical human being driving this thing.
Robot.
Yeah. Okay, now there was a truck riding along on the street behind it. And it made me think there was maybe a guy in the truck operating this thing via remote control.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it's this giant piece of machinery, right, rolling up my street, going up through there, up the street. Again, it's on tracks like on a tank, and there's nothing driving it. There's no person on it. And it went up the street, stopped at the stop sign, turned left, went about 2 houses down where it had to pull over in the yard and start digging a hole up there, you know, like not a little bitty hole where they send the cable down in the ground and all. It's really neat.
Have those long pipes on it that they attach it and they bore through the ground.
Yes.
Sideways. Yeah.
Yes.
And then they slide the pipe in over that, and then they put the cables in.
They slide the pipe in, so it's the conduit.
You never have to dig your yard up.
That's exactly right. Anyway, it's a fascinating process, you know, for a novice like me, but I did not know that there was machinery that big where they just operate it remotely or via GPS. It could be just via GPS for all I know. It's crazy.
Technology.
Well, it makes you think, okay, we are civilians. This is civilian work being done here, and we got big machinery rolling up the road with no driver in it. You know good and well our military, pretty soon it's all going to become remote. Why put a human being at risk when we don't have to? You know, we can just let a robot drive that thing.
Yeah, they fly the drones.
Yeah,
from Las Vegas.
Right.
The air base there. They fly all those drones all over the world.
All over the world from right there.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't a person in it. It's something else, man. Anyway, I saw that this morning. Just wanted to share. That's all. I just wanted to share that. Hey, let me share something else here. If you missed the John Cohen interview, he brought up something I thought was really interesting. I wonder how y'all feel about this. Do you have a preference for your team playing the early game on Friday of a regional or the late game on Friday of a regional? And we have two opposites here in this state. Okay, unless something changes, as of right now, State hosting as a 7 seed is going to play the early game. Going to throw out first pitch at 2 o'clock. Ole Miss and Oxford, the host team, put in a request, get it granted. They're going to play the late game. 7 o'clock first pitch, whenever it is they finally get that game going. Which one do you think is best? Well, here's something. Okay. In the past, I've always thought this way. Number one, you normally play Friday nights throughout the entire year at 6 o'clock, 6:30. Why not just keep that the same? Okay. Number 2, your fans can get there better if you play the late game versus the early one. I've just always looked at it that way. But John started describing a couple of things I hadn't thought of. And I went, as he was saying this stuff, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. And a couple of those were, get this, I didn't think about this. If you're the regional host and you play at 2 o'clock, you get to have batting practice before the game on the field. Whereas if you play the late game, you don't. Now, if I was a player, I imagine I would like to have BP on the field instead of in the tunnel. That's just one thing. If you play the early game, you get to have batting practice on the field. If you play the late game, you don't. Here's another one. If you play the early game, you then get to sit there and scout the other 2 teams that night. And when that one's over, you know who you're playing. Right? But during the game, you know I'm playing the winner or I'm playing the loser, depending on how this thing's going to shake out here. And it's a little different if you play that late game. You're watching the early game and you're just scouting both equally because that night you're going to play. You don't know if you're in the winners or the losers bracket. Right? And you're not. Anyway, so it's a whole different sort of scouting challenge for the next opponent. And then the other thing that he mentioned was just stuff like weather and the fact that if you schedule yourself for the late game, you don't actually know what time you're going to start. You know, if that early game goes to extras, if it ends early, whatever, you're sort of sitting beholden to the first game. But if you play the first game, you can just tell your team, be here at this particular time. We'll be on the field at this particular time. And we're playing at straight up 2 o'clock. We throw out first pitch. So you take out that waiting dynamic, you know. So I wonder how you value those things. It's just factors on that stuff that I had not thought about. Jason in Flagstaff. What did he say here? Oh, this was about the construction thing. No, 2 things. All right. He texted me 2 one that I missed here. Country Pleasing text line 885 ESPN. Jason says, is there any legitimate excuse for Ole Miss or State not winning their regionals? He says, other than Ole Miss losing the series to UCF early, both have been pretty consistent in the SEC against much better competition. Well, yeah, I mean, they have. You say, you know, a legitimate excuse to lose it. No. They're the host teams for a reason. They play in the SEC for a reason. They're top tier in the SEC for a reason. There's no excuse. You know, you should win the regional. But baseball's screwy. It's about pitching matchups. And, you know, did you hit a dribbler that you barely got a bat on, but it rolled, you know, through the 6-hole? Or did you square one up and hit a rope 100-mile-an-hour line drive, but the second baseman stood there and didn't move and have to move and caught it? You know, that's baseball for you right there. That weird stuff. More so than any sport. Okay, so it's a little different. No, should they win their regionals? Yes. Does it mean they will? No. Jason in Flagstaff also said, installing communication systems was my first job in the Army. He says, I was so happy when we switched to fiber optic cables. A whole lot easier on your back because we didn't have machines. So it's just lighter, huh? Yeah. I tell you what, man, I can't wait to get it here. The C Spire fiber internet, number one, it's less expensive, okay, than what I currently pay for. Number 2, what I currently pay for has a cap. Yeah, I can get the biggest package. I'll just tell you who it, I can get the biggest package and it still has a cap that I can go over sometimes. All right. And the other thing is it does go in and out some. The C Spire is more reliable. It is less expensive per month, and there's no overages because there's no cap on it. And it's much, 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 much faster than what I currently have coming into my house. So, buddy, I cannot wait to get my hands on that fiber to the home. And like the monkey who sat his tail on a railroad track, it won't be long now. On that note, Jay in Baltimore said, I'm a big fan of both Coach Cohen and Lamonis, but Mississippi State has one huge advantage over other teams. He says the dude at night with a packed house is worth more than all those other benefits to playing in the day. So Jay says that's my opinion. So Jay in Baltimore falls in line with, he wants to play at night and get all your fans there instead of playing a 2 p.m. game. So put him squarely in that category. Denzel says Samford can hit the long ball. With that being said, give me Hootie pitching against them on Friday. As long as we win, throw McLeod Saturday and Bednar on Sunday. More of your texts, and we'll get into the countdown of 100 college football teams in 100 days and pick that up where we left off. Don't want to miss it. Stick around.
There's a lot. After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer.
Messages. We'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute.
The Matt Wyatt Show, talking more great sports for you, Mississippi.
Online transmission is ready, sir.
Live online at thezone1059.com and
Keep your radio turned on
to ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
Hey! All right, here we go. All set to kind of wrap up hour 2. I had to remind myself the hours. Losing track here lately. No excuse. Speaking of excuses, Jason. All right, all set to wrap up hour number 2 with you here. A few minutes left. Let's get us some text here on the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Wait a minute. Let me tell you what I did real quick. This was Friday? Was it Friday? What day was it? No, Saturday. Yeah, I think it was Saturday. Saturday, I went to Walmart here in Tupelo for the express purpose of buying crickets to fish with. We got ourselves 100 crickets, and we went and caught some brim. Me and little one, Mary Liddy, we went and caught some bluegill brim in the pond down here behind our house. And so we went and got some crickets. That was on Saturday. While we were there, we needed to go over to the freezer section and get a frozen pizza. There was this one kind of frozen pizza that we were supposed to pick up. I happened to, on purpose, pass by the sausage section of the Walmart in Tupelo, and I discovered all kinds of different flavors of Country Pleasing sausage. All kinds. Now, we didn't get a shopping cart. We kind of had our hands full, and I was holding Mary Liddy's hand, so I didn't just get, all this stuff. I didn't fill my pockets. But they had black pepper and cheddar flavor. They also had green onion, pepper jack, different ones. I picked up the black pepper and cheddar, and I have been eating on it slowly but surely the last few days since buying it. Heads up. Look at Walmart. They got it. Country Pleasing. Lots of different flavors. Okay. Country Pleasing sausage. Grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. What does he say here? Tip said another reason for playing at 2 is if you win, you get extra rest because the winner will play at 7 on that Saturday. If you do happen to lose, you get more rest than the loser of the 7 p.m. game. That's right. Get a few more hours, if you like that schedule. That's just another way to look at it. Gator Nation texted the show. Signed TB12 GOAT. He says, man, I've been wondering, do you think when overrated Lawrence sucks, and he will, is Meyer going to put Tebow in? I'm not buying this tight end crap. No, man, listen, he's not putting him in. He will not be playing quarterback for the Jaguars unless it's an absolute emergency. And say what you want, TB12 GOAT. I think you're right. I mean, at times it's going to be really ugly for Trevor Lawrence. He's a rookie quarterback with great ability on a bad team. The reason he's in Jacksonville is because he was the number 1 pick and they're a bad team. Look at the way the NFL chewed up Peyton Manning, spit him out his first year or 2. Look at the way the NFL chewed up and spit out Troy Aikman when he first went to Dallas. Last year, Burrow goes in there, is not bad, comes out with a bum knee because they can't protect him. Look, it's going to be rough. It's just the way it is. I guess maybe they get through it by counting their money. Whatever it is, it's going to be rough. You know it, I know it. He's not playing Tebow at quarterback. Outside of an emergency, he's not doing that. Chris on line 1 of the Davini Equipment phone line. Hello, Chris. What's up?
How you doing, Matt? Did you have a good weekend?
I did. A long one, and hope you did as well.
I did. Well, I want to say this to all the people that are saying that they're making the wrong decision by playing the early game. I think it's right. I mean, I really do. I think that they're making the right choice. And I want to ask you a question. Sarantola walked somebody the other day, but I just don't understand. Like, we won a bunch of games out of conference with Sarantola pitching and Hootie backing him up. And then we won more in conference with Jackson Fristow pitching. I know he probably hit a freshman wall, but I don't understand why they don't run one of those two back out there and let them try it again. I mean, we've got to find something. If we don't, when we get to Omaha, we're going to run out of pitching real quick.
Well, yeah, but you got to have a strike thrower. I think that's the biggest thing. You get to the postseason. I mean, there's no question, if it's on, Sarantola's going to rack up outs. Fristow, same way. If it's on, he's going to rack up outs. It's just, both those guys. I mean, Sarantola threw out, but here lately, Fristow just ran into a little bit of thing of missing a strike zone just a little too much. You don't necessarily – they may start him. They may do it. It's not a matter of having good stuff, filthy stuff. It's just a matter of how consistently can they hit their spots in the strike zone. If you go out –
He should be pretty – I was going to say he should be pretty fresh too because he hadn't pitched in, 2 weeks?
Yeah, he's fresh for sure. There's no doubt about that. You just – in any of these games – you got to put a guy on the mound that is going to hit the strike zone. And if the other guys hit the ball and beat you by hitting the ball, you got to shake their hand afterwards and just tip your cap. But you can't let them beat you because you issue 3 or 4 or 5 free bases over 3 innings. You just can't do that. And, especially with a Sarantola, that's probably how they feel about it.
I'm really happy with our draw, too. I mean, I don't know how other State fans feel about it, but I think we got a pretty good, decent draw, and not happen to see Arkansas or Vanderbilt until we get to Omaha and basically the championship game. I mean, that's a pretty good draw for us.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
I think that we, if State goes and handles business like they did all year, I think we're going to do just fine. I really do. I mean, I asked you and Steve the other day if we were out of gas, and I still think that some of these pitchers are just really tired. Even though, because, Doug McCasey and Gunnar Hoglund have done it before, and some of these other guys have done it before. They've been throwing that many pitches. Christian McLeod didn't get a chance to throw that many pitches last year, and Will Bednar didn't either. So
right.
I think there's still a little gas, but I think that we can make it work.
Yeah.
And I believe they're going to end up in Omaha. We just need to get the bats going. But, hey, the other question I have for you, and I done forgot it.
Yeah, well, just call me back later, Chris. That'll be fine.
Y'all have a great day.
All right, man. You too. Have a good one. That's all right. I forget stuff all the time, too. I didn't forget, however, that I told you we would jump into the countdown of 100 teams in 100 days, counting it down to September 4th, the first big Saturday of college football. Today's actually 95, but we had a long weekend, so we got 3 teams. We're going to do team number 97, 96, and 95 today. So starting with team number 97 on the countdown, here they are. It ain't a bad fight song. You shouldn't recognize it. If you do, you are really smart. Okay, it is Texas State from the Sun Belt. Now, don't roll your eyes just yet. Now, hang on a minute. Just hang on. All right, Texas State is in San Marcos, Texas. It's between San Antonio and Austin, somewhere out there in the middle of nowhere. They are coached by Jake Spavital, the former Texas A&M assistant coach. Last year, Texas State under Jake Spavital, it was his second year as the head coach. Texas State went, ouch, they went 2-10 last year. I remember watching that season opener where they played SMU, and that was a heck of a football game. Back and forth, both teams scored. It was entertaining, but SMU beat them 31-24. And in week 2, San Antonio. Anybody go into San Antonio? Well, San Antonio beat them in 2 overtimes, 51-48. They got a win in week 3 in Monroe, Louisiana, 38-17 over UL Monroe. And then after that, starting the season 1-2, they reeled off 7. Is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losses in a row. Boston College, Troy, South Alabama, BYU, Louisiana, App State, Georgia Southern, Arkansas State. I'm sorry, they beat Arkansas State, broke their losing streak. That was their second loss of the year. Finished the year with a 49-14 loss to 20th-ranked Coastal Carolina. Good fight song. You're right. This year they're going to play Baylor and then FIU. They're going to play Incarnate Word. And they jump into Sun Belt play in early October. Back-to-back home games, South Alabama and Troy. Back-to-back road games, Georgia State, Louisiana. Back-to-back at home, Monroe, Georgia Southern. And then finish the year back-to-back on the road, Coastal Carolina, Arkansas State. They are the only Texas school that has a president, a U.S. president, as a graduate. Lyndon B. Johnson graduated from Texas State. By the way, George Strait also graduated there. Did you realize George Strait went to Texas State in San Marcos, Texas? They must have a great drama program or something, too, because they got a bunch of famous actors that graduated from there, including the sergeant from Police Academy. Look it up! There's team number 97. That'll wrap up hour 2. Hour 3 coming up. Stay with me.
There's a lot of noise when it comes.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max. Got it at C Spire. Went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out. Okay. And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi. And that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden, as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
In the studio.
Live and local. This is the Matt Wyatt Show. Talking about sports from around the world and right here at home. Streaming to you at the Zone, 1059.com, and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
All right, here we go. Hour number 3 of the show. Off and running with you on this Tuesday. It feels like a Monday, but it's not. It's a Tuesday. So we had a Memorial Day weekend. Appreciate y'all being a part of the show and tuning in here today. Hour 3 is presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Overstreet Properties and overstreetproperties.com. Anything residential in Starkville. If you're headed to Starkville, like you're moving there to Starkville, you're going to live there permanently, or maybe not. Maybe you just need a condo that's yours when you come in town for ball games a few times out of the year, or leasing an apartment for a student. Anything residential, go to Overstreet Properties. You can find all the info and contact info at overstreetproperties.com. All right, welcome in. So get your comments in here. We had team number 97 on the countdown of 100 teams in 100 days. Today is actually 95. We're going to do 96 and 95 and be caught up because we had a long weekend. It means we are 95 days today from September the 4th. And that'll be the day State opens the season, and then Ole Miss opens the season the next day. So we're actually less than 95 days to watching some college football. We're just counting it down to that big full weekend, that first full long weekend. But Team 97 was Texas State from the Sun Belt. Jason commented on Facebook. He said, what comes to mind when I hear Texas State is the Fighting Armadillos. Yeah, isn't that from a movie? So they were called the Texas State Fighting Armadillos. Yeah. Sven said, Texas State's fight song sounds good to me. It was not bad, was it? Just a little snippet there if you missed it. I mean, it's upbeat, hops along, it sounds like he just scored a touchdown. Yeah, so we'll give it credit where it's some credit due. It's not a bad fight song at all. Sven does say it sounds good to me. It's not Sonic, meaning Sonic Boom good, but it's real good. No, it's not Sonic Boom good. No, it's not. Sorry, by the way. I just made that loud noise and I woke Champ, the Wonder Schnauzer, up from his nap. Sorry, Champ. Sorry, Champ. I'm just over here talking out the side of my neck. Here we go. Yeah, the JSU Sonic Boom. That's what I'm talking about. It does not get any better than that. We'll hear some more fight songs coming up. We do team number 96. We'll do team number 95 and be caught up in the countdown of 100 teams in the 100 days. Getting closer. It won't be long now. It will not be long now, for sure. What are we, 100 days, I think, from that first NFL game? Isn't that what I saw? So we're 100 days from that. A few more days on it. Denzel. Okay, I got it, Denzel. Thanks for your text. Appreciate it. Big finish. Jason texted the show. He said, after the wrestling show involved Urban Meyer the other day, I'm wondering how long until Tebow shows up to suplex somebody through a table. I miss that. What happened? So Urban Meyer made an appearance on a wrestling show. I missed what that was. I did see a tweet this morning, Jason, that said that Ric Flair at 70-something years old and coming off that health scare that he had, they set up a deal where his son-in-law suplexed him or pile drived him or something into the pool. They filmed it at 70-something years old. There you go. Doggone on the country pleasing text line, says Matt. Have they done the rankings of the toughest to the weakest regionals? All I've heard is how tough it'll be to get out of the Oxford Regional. Well, I found a list. Let me see here. Did I save that? Yeah, here it is. I don't really know this website very much, doggone. Now, and anybody can do a list and anybody can do a ranking. This is something that I've come across before. And it is baseball content, okay? But the name of it is collegebaseball.info. It's just a website, College Baseball Nation, collegebaseball.info. And whoever these guys are, I mean, they took a swing at ranking the regionals, okay, from easiest to toughest. Let me give you an example. I can't go through and read all of it to you. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but I'll give you, you might check it out for yourself. They rank the Austin, Texas regional, so Texas Longhorns hosting it, as the easiest. It says number 2 overall seed Texas got the most favorable draw of any host. Arizona State at 16-14 in the Pac-12 had just one series win over teams from the field of 64. On top of that, Sun Devils have had a host of pitching injuries. Fairfield is going to Texas. They say so. Fairfield is in an interesting at-large selection. They're 37-3 overall. And then this article says the Stags make for a great story, but Texas has them completely outmatched. So there's that one. But then they have Starkville right next. They have it at 15 out of 16 as State getting the next best draw. And here's what it says about the Starkville Regional. Mississippi State at 7 not only has to be happy to receive a top 8 seed, but Bulldogs fans should be ecstatic about the draw they received. VCU, this is that article I was telling you about, says the automatic bid from the Atlantic 10, VCU, has not won a series against a tournament team and has only 5 wins against teams in the tournament field. Campbell's best series win is against Liberty. And this says Mississippi State will be heavily favored in this regional. Nashville at 14, Greenville at 13, Lubbock 12, Eugene 11, Fort Worth 10, Gainesville 9, Fayetteville 8. How about this? Here's what they say about Arkansas. It says the Hogs weren't done any favors by the committee. Nebraska, the Big Ten champ, is one of the toughest 2 seeds in the bracket. Northeastern, the Colonial champion, and NJIT are a little less intimidating. Well, there's an understatement for you. Hey, by the way, side note, y'all, listen up. Side note. Go check out my Twitter feed. I'm Radio Wyatt. Hog Jowl. Tell you what, I won't even give it away. You just have to go look and see. It's on Facebook also, facebook.com/Radio Wyatt. But Radio Wyatt on Twitter. Hog Jowl sent me a video. His souped up red Razorbacks vehicle, same red as Arkansas. It's got a Razorback tag on the front. It's a nice, clean, sharp-looking little pickup truck. And it has a trick when you open a glove box. So go check it out and let me know what you think. It's Hog Jowl's truck. It's on my Twitter feed. Stanford at 7, Ruston at 6. They got Alabama in there. South Bend at 5. How about this line? Notre Dame at 5. It's safe to say that most of the country was surprised when Notre Dame, the 10 seed, the runaway ACC champs, didn't earn the top 8 seed. Talks about their RPI. Didn't do them any favors. All right, Columbia, South Carolina, 4. And at number 3 toughest, the 3rd toughest regional, it says, is Oxford. Ole Miss, the 12, received one of the toughest regionals in the country. Southern Miss is allowing just 3.9 runs per game, 9th in the country. And Florida State was underseeded as a 3 seed. The regional is a 3-team race. They don't got SEMO doing very much in there. I know, bad grammar, whatever. Tucson, number 2. That's Arizona. And they have the number 1 toughest regional be Knoxville. Here's what it says. Speaking of tough 4 seeds, Wright State is Tennessee's regional, might be the most underseeded team in the entire tournament. The RPI of 27 from a non-major conference normally should get Wright State at least a 3. Meanwhile, the 2 seed in Knoxville is Duke, the ACC champion, and a team that is on an absolute tear right now. Liberty, the 3 seed, has 7 wins against teams in the field of 64, and it says this is a tough regional. So there you go. It's just one ranking, one place, collegebaseball.info. And I honestly, I just gave you what they said. I don't know who they are. I've not met them. It seemed very well written to me and organized, and I liked it. So that's the only one I saw where it was just outright ranking all the different regionals. So there you go. Jay in Baltimore texted. He said, coming out of the SEC tournament disappointment in day games, I would have preferred the night game to get as far away as possible from that environment. Well, you know, I can see everything you're saying, Jay. I mean, yeah, I can see it all. I can see also what they're saying. You know, certain things that you want to do. Let me ask you this. What if you are going to throw a young guy? Well, I mean, heck, you are. Okay, so even McLeod and Bednar are young guys. But I'm just saying, what if it was a Fristow or somebody like that you were going to throw? Would you prefer it be a day game in front of a few less people? Or a night game when there's 12,000 in there? I don't know. This we do know. You let them win on Friday. Let them win on Friday. Somehow, some way, let them win on Friday and be playing in the winner's bracket game Saturday night in the regional. How many will be there? After a year being shut in at home, how many will be there? 15? I'm being serious. I don't know if it'll be 15. Officially. It'll be a lot there. Patrick texted the show. He said, I'm trying to figure out how Arizona State got in, but Georgia didn't. What a joke. Hey, as y'all were watching that show yesterday, did you not think, holy cow, they didn't put LSU in? Seriously, I'm sitting there watching it because the last one that they released was the Eugene, Oregon regional, right? So it's the last field. So we're down to the last one, and LSU's not in there yet. And Alabama was. And I'm sitting there going, holy cow. They have put Alabama in and sent them down to Ruston, and they have not put LSU in the field. And then, boom, first one pops up or whatever. Here goes LSU out to Eugene, Oregon. Didn't they play out there recently? Or they played at Oregon State a couple of years ago. That's what it was, huh? Yep. I believe that's right. I believe they played at Oregon State. So now they go to Eugene. So, all right, here they are. Arizona State got in as the 2. They're a 2, aren't they? But Georgia didn't. Arizona State got in. They're going to Austin, Texas. Texas, the 1. Arizona State, 2. Fairfield, 3. Southern, 4. A lot of people thought Southern from Baton Rouge was coming to Starkville, but that didn't work out that way. Committee always does something different than what the people who are predicting this stuff say. Yeah. Columbia, South Carolina. How about that? South Carolina is hosting, but they are the 2 seed. Old Dominion is the 1. South Carolina 2, Virginia 3, Old Dominion the 1, Jacksonville the 4. Yeah. Jumping around. SEC had the most teams get in the tournament with 9 SEC teams that got in? Yeah. And that's a big deal for Alabama too. It's really going to help, potentially help their recruiting. It's been a while. They haven't been in the NCAA tournament since 2014. Had a long way to go. So I thought it was pretty significant. People talked about, well, they couldn't really give you a great explanation as to why Alabama got in. Well, yeah, you can. The way John Cohen described it at the beginning of this show. He said, we're looking at a situation where if they didn't get in, you'd have the top 40 teams in the RPI in the tournament, except Alabama at 31. Okay, how are you going to justify that when they played in the toughest conference in America? Well, exactly. So they put them in. I think rightfully so. It looks to me like overall they did a pretty solid job. If you have any major issues with it, then, kick and scream and holler and see if that helps. Okay, I want to flip it now back over to football. We got more baseball coming up later in the show, an interview too. We'll catch Scott Foxhall, the pitching coach at Mississippi State, after they come off the practice field. Got to wait a little bit for that practice to finish up. So right now we'll jump back over to the countdown of 100 college football teams in 100 days. We'll do, in this hour, we'll do teams number 96 and 95. Today's 95 days from September the 4th. Team number 96 is Army. Okay, look, the Army fight song is different than what you think. All right, so Army was 9-3 last year. They beat Navy, right? And Army's had a run on Navy. They flipped the script. Jeff Monken, Todd's brother, is the Army coach. Let's look at this year's schedule real quick. Who does Army start off with? They're going to start it off in 95 days against Georgia State on the road in Hotlanta. And then they'll have 3 straight home games: Western Kentucky, UConn, Miami of Ohio, travel to Ball State, travel to Wisconsin. Put that one on the calendar. That's fun. On October the 16th, the Badgers from Wisconsin and Camp Randall are going to open the doors and welcome in the Army. They'll host Wake Forest out of the ACC in late October. And then the month of November for Army is they will host Air Force. They will host Bucknell. I didn't even know Bucknell played football. They'll host UMass. They'll go to Liberty on Thanksgiving weekend. Go to Liberty and take on the fighting Hugh Freezes. And then the Army-Navy game December the 11th this year. Where are they playing at? Philadelphia? Are they playing it in Philadelphia, or this year is somebody hosting it? Shoot, man, I don't know where they're playing it. I'll have to look that one up. But the Army-Navy game, the Army-Navy game seems to be on the bucket list of every college football fan ever and everywhere. It's just on the list. Okay, yeah, they beat Navy this past year 15-0. And cold weather it is every year. They had a pretty good football team this past year. They went, as I said, 9-3, but they were 9-2 in their regular season. Looks like they had 2 games get postponed, and only one of them got made up, and that was Air Force. Yeah, that's right. You look back to last year, Army beat Middle Tennessee 42-0, and then beat Louisiana Monroe 37-7 to go 2-0. They were supposed to play BYU that third week, but it got postponed, and that one never got made up. They got back after missing a week. They played Cincinnati, a really good football team, as we saw, and Cincinnati beat them 24-10, one of 2 regular season losses. They had 4 wins in a row in October. Abilene Christian, Abilene, the Citadel, UTSA, and Mercer. They were supposed to play Air Force in the first weekend in November. It got postponed. So 2 weeks later, after beating Mercer, they lost to Tulane. How about that? Every time, both times, their only losses in the year last year for Army were both times that they had a game get postponed and they had to wait 2 weeks to play. BYU gets postponed, they come back lose to Cincinnati. Air Force gets postponed, they come back lose to Tulane. But after that, they beat Georgia Southern, beat Navy 15-0, had the makeup game on December 19th against the Air Force, beat them 10-7, and then went and played in a bowl game, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you very much. And West Virginia beat them 24-21. It was a heck of a ball game. So 9-3, the final record last year for Army. There you go. A quick look at the Army Black Knights team, number 96 on the countdown of 100 teams in 100 days. Hey, Bill.
Yes.
We might get Lou to hang on, right? I'm afraid if he starts.
I already asked him. He said he would.
Good, because I just looked at the clock, and if he starts talking, the music will interrupt him, and it'll be awkward, and it'll be totally my fault. So I'm
It's all your fault, man.
Yeah, most things are. Most things are. Just ask my conscience. Tell you what, I will take credit for, though, Bill, is rationing out my coffee. Because I got hot coffee in the mug and in my thermos to last me the rest of this hour. And I'm going on 3 hours into this radio show. Hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. HighPointRoasters.com. Get your coffee there. Tell them I sent you, by the way. HighPointRoasters.com. Order it from Dan the Coffee Man. Dan was at the SEC tournament last week in Hoover. He came walking up and said hello to me and Dad. I got to introduce them. It was good to see you, Dan, if you're listening. It really was good to see you. I hate we didn't have more reasons to cheer over there in that section, but I'm cheery because of your coffee. More football, and we'll get to Lou's phone call coming up. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
Purchasing. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com a couple weeks ago. Went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's Virtual Tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. Bet you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O Instant Pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jell-O Instant Pudding.
you ready? Brace yourself. Now back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
All right, back with you. Live in the Bureau, hour number 3 of the show. Coming up later, if everything goes according to plan, we'll get a chance to talk with Scott Foxhall, the assistant coach at Mississippi State. He's a pitching coach. And, we'll ask him, politely when and if they have decided who's going to pitch. With the understanding that even if they know, they might not divulge that to us on a Tuesday, which would be understandable, right? But the biggest thing is to kind of find out, how do you approach it? When do you let them know? How flexible are you? Some of those things. We'll see. We'll just see what they think. It's not like they haven't been through it before. As a coaching staff, they have. It's just you got some players, actually, that haven't been through this before, right? So we'll get into that later. Right now, over to the phone line, Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Lou hanging on line 1. What's up, Lou?
Hey there, Matt. How you doing? We're on the way down to the.
Where'd you go, Lou? Did you drop the phone?
Sorry, I dropped the phone right there for a minute there. I had a little cold spell and I just fell over. But we're going down to the South Bend region and we're going to go to the Notre Dame Central Michigan game. It's going to be pretty good. And Mississippi State isn't the only one that picked a weird, goofy time because Notre Dame's playing Central Michigan. And it's like 1 o'clock. And it's just the weirdest thing in the world.
Gotcha. So did I hear you right? You're going to attend the regional in South Bend?
Yeah, it's going to attend the regional, and it's full capacity, too. And it's going to be a pretty good regional.
I think it will be, Coach. Coach Lou, I saw Lou on the line. I didn't realize it was Lou Holtz, motivational speaker. I thought you might be a South Carolina fan. You coach there too.
Yeah, I know I coach there, but I claim the Holy Catholicism that is Notre Dame because that is my foot that I won a bunch of national championships at, and you guys stick with your guns.
Thanks, Lou. Good to hear from you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, he's got a statue at Notre Dame.
That's true. If you have your own statue, that's where you go back, right? I mean, that makes sense. Sing along, everybody. It never hurts to get a phone call from Uncle Lou. Judy on line 2. Thanks for calling, Judy. What's up?
How are you doing, Matt?
As far as I know, I'm all right. Hope you're doing well.
It's a brand new month. I am doing fine.
Yep. Well, good.
Hadn't gotten into it enough to be a bad month yet.
That's right. Day number 1. That's right.
Yeah. You have more expertise on this than I do. So I'm just wondering what, and you may have already talked about it and I missed it. What do you think our chances are to win the regional at state?
Yeah. I think they got a great chance to do it.
Okay.
So much of it does depend on the pitching performances that you get. But I just think State's been too good for too long this year throughout its pitching staff. And they've been good at home, especially, out of conference, for that to change. So I think they get out of this regional. I think they'll do it.
I like the way you think.
Good.
Hello to your family. Okay.
Thanks, Judy. Say hi to yours for me. Yeah, it's Judy, leave it to Judy to get right to the nitty gritty. And we're 3.5 hours into the show. Hey, Matt, do you think they're going to win it? Well, we talk around the issue. I don't do a ton of predictions on here. No, I really do like State to do it. You're playing teams that this year anyway, these teams that are in there have not either A, played a lot of games against this level of competition, or B, had success against this level of competition. And it's not that they can't come in there and win. It's just that definitely it's a regional that if State pitches it well, they should get out of this regional. And then, you're matched up with whoever comes in there. It could be a Notre Dame. And then it's really, you're back into regular season mode. A 3-game series, you got to win 2. If you don't win the first 2, you play 3. If you win the first 2, you get a day off to pack your stuff. Go to Omaha. And, State's fortunate. People are talking about, State's fortunate with the regional draw that it got as far as the teams that are in there. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't think anybody really knows that. People talk out of their side of their neck on this whole thing a bunch. Just like I said earlier, nobody, even the coaches themselves, can look you in the eye and tell you with great confidence that one regional is tougher than another. You don't know. Nobody knows what you're going to get from, some 4 seeds ace on a Friday game and some 2 seed that's, a lot better than they played for a couple of weekends out of the year. Nobody knows that stuff. But it does feel like a year where you're pretty certain that, that Arkansas is just better than everybody else. Okay? I'm serious. Not so much that everybody's playing for second. No, but it's to go out here and somebody beat Arkansas, whether it's in Fayetteville this week, in Fayetteville next week, or in Omaha. You're going to have to hope they slip up. That's how good Arkansas is. You're going to have to hope they slip up. Vandy's kind of in that category too. It's just there's a slight ding in their reputation just because, they didn't win the Ole Miss series in the regular season. They didn't beat Arkansas in the SEC tournament. They lost another game to Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. Right? That whole thing. But you get them in postseason mode, especially in 3-game series mode. Vandy can be just as unbeatable as Arkansas is. And the thing about it is, when you talk about luck of the draw, this whole bracket, you look at the entire bracket thing, Vandy and Arkansas cannot face each other for the national championship. They're on the same side. So, if State were to play its way all the way through to the championship, they're likely facing Arkansas or Vanderbilt. Anybody on State's side of that bracket does that. See, I think Ole Miss is over there on that side also. Right? So, Steve sent me a question on the Country Pleasing text line. Wants to know who the regionals match up with. State is a 7 seed, so they are matching up with the South Bend regional. Is that right? Yeah, they're matching up with South Bend. So Notre Dame, okay. Ole Miss is the 12, so they are matching up with Arizona. Don't I have that right? Pretty sure I do. About to look it up here and make sure. Yeah. Okay. Fayetteville is matched up with Ruston. Stanford is matched up with Lubbock. Yeah. Tucson, Arizona is matched up with Oxford and Ole Miss. I mentioned this earlier. The Nashville Vandy regional is matched up with East Carolina and Greenville. Knoxville is matched up with Eugene, Oregon. You got Columbia, South Carolina regional matched up with Fort Worth. That's TCU. The Starkville regional is matched up with South Bend, Notre Dame. And the Austin regional is matched up with Gainesville, Florida. So you could have some matchups if the higher seeds come out of it. All right, so if you're interested, depending on who you root for, you look at the Starkville Regional State's a 7 seed national seed. If they advance, they'll host Super, and they, of course, have Samford, VCU, and Campbell. On the other side, they're matched up with Notre Dame. So Notre Dame, the host, is a 10 seed, hosting Central Michigan, UConn, and the University of Michigan in that one. For Ole Miss, we told you that they're matched up with Arizona out in Tucson. Ole Miss got SEMO, Florida State, and Southern Miss in there. Out in Tucson, you've got Arizona hosting Oklahoma State, UC Santa Barbara, who's a pretty good team this year, and Grand Canyon. So those are some possibilities if Ole Miss were to advance of who they could possibly face. And I think it's just like always, right? Didn't they switch it back up? And just like Arizona, they're hosting the Super if they advance. But if they don't, like UC Santa Barbara would come to Oxford? Didn't they switch that back up to do like normal? Got me. Beats me, man. We'll figure that out later.
Hope they get to play out there in Arizona. You see all the wildfires?
You know what, Bill?
Where the stadium is?
Yeah. Jason texted us that and mentioned that. A bunch of wildfires going on out there. It's crazy. Be playing with a different kind of smoke in the outfield. This wouldn't be from a grill. I tell you. Okay, so we'll see if we can get Coach Foxhall on the phone next and wrap things up in hour 3. Stick around.
Is COVID-19 affecting your job and ability to secure your future? Be a business for yourself, but not by yourself. In the industry, that's essential. Janney King, the king of clean, is looking for new franchisees here in this area. Our franchise opportunity started under $20,000.
Keeping my eye on the phone.
Financing available. To find out what advantages ownership can mean for you, go to
Yeah, I told him 240.
Do you suffer from
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one and got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality.
Now to get back to our little talk. Right here on the Matt Wyatt Show.
All right, back with you, all set to wrap things up with you here on this Tuesday. It's felt like a Monday all day, but it's not. We had a long weekend and a holiday built in there, and hope that it was fun and safe for everyone. Appreciate you tuning in here on this Tuesday, but a lot to react to. It still has felt like a Reaction Monday show, including looking at the field of the regionals across college baseball, the teams that are coming into the state of Mississippi this weekend. We're going to have two regional host sites 90 miles from each other here in a state with less than 3 million people in it. And oh, by the way, at some point there'll be about 13 to 15,000 people in each of those ballparks. Yeah, to say that support for college baseball is through the roof in this state is really an understatement. A guy who knows it, Scott Foxhall, pitching coach, Mississippi State. He's got the guys that strike out more people than anybody else in the country this year collectively as a staff, and they're going to need to do that. They want to try to play themselves into Omaha. We're fortunate enough, he's on your radio right now, just came off the practice field. Coach Foxhall, I really do appreciate some time. I know it's a quick turnaround for you, just got off the practice field. If I could ask you how it went today, how'd it go?
Well, great to be here, Matt. Thanks for having me on. And I just walked over from Duty Noble back to my office, and we had a really good practice, really high energy and focused. We're not reinventing the wheel here this time of year. We're just going back to fundamentals and keeping it short and crisp. And we had one of those types of practices today, so we feel good about it.
When will you know the decision on who's going to pitch on Friday, Coach?
We're still breaking everything down right now and just looking at the, when you're playing a regional to win, you kind of just can't look at the first game. You have to look at the whole picture, and obviously the first one's the most important one because it's the one in front of you. But you have to kind of get a bird's eye view of everything and see how we match up with each team and how we think we'd use the bullpen and who matches up best as a starting pitcher. So we're still trying to get the information in right now and analyze that before we decide who will go on Friday. I do know that Sanford might be the best 4 seed in the country. I know they are very offensive. We played them here in midweek and before the conference season started, and it's a good club. They're playing better now than they were then, and they just won their tournament, and it's a very well coached team. I've known Casey Dunn for many years. He's one of the best coaches in the country, and I think that he really felt like his team should be a 3 seed, and they're a little maybe come in here with a little chip on their shoulders because they ran away with that. I think they won that conference regular season pretty handily, and then they won the conference tournament. So they're a very good team, and we're certainly not overlooking them, but we're trying to just see what the best thing for us will be from a pitching standpoint to win the regional.
Yeah. Coach Foxhall, I had a question earlier from guy who listens to the show, Jay in Baltimore, Maryland. He's a big Mississippi State fan. We always talk a lot of baseball with him. And his curiosity was, like, for you, what's preferable in terms of letting that pitcher know that he's the guy on Friday? Does he find out on Thursday? Do you want him to have several days to sleep on it? Like, what's best case scenario in terms of telling that kid, okay, you're going to get the ball on Friday?
As soon as possible. We'll let him know as soon as possible. I think we'll probably know here in the next 12 hours or so. We're working pretty diligently on getting the reports in on the other teams, and we have a couple or three guys that are good options for Friday that are all ready to go, and we'll give them as much notice as possible. I'm not the one that thinks, oh, don't let them get nervous and just let them do their work and tell them right before. And that's the best thing. I think I trust my guys. I trust their mental state, and I trust their preparation that I will get them the information and the decision as soon as possible. So hopefully we'll have it here very shortly, Matt.
Cool. Got it. How do you juxtaposed against the backdrop of how good your staff was as a whole throughout the year, what was your take on how things went in Hoover?
Well, I think that first of all, we're very disappointed, and there's no excuses, and nobody's making them in our camp for sure. But that is a different animal, and I believe that we had 5 guys on our roster that had ever played in Hoover before, and it is. And when you look at it, the ones that had played were the ones that kind of played the best. And so it's just it's different in the fact that there's the whole scouting community's there. It's a little bit of a media circus. It's a lot of it is exciting. It's an exciting tournament. I don't want to downplay it, but there's a little bit of artificial drama injected into it that you start to feel while you're there, and if you don't handle it the right way, then things probably aren't going to go very well for you. And I feel like our inexperience maybe showed up in Hoover, and now we've learned those lessons, and we for the couple days after all of that happened, we talked about it and worked through it, and now it's in the rearview mirror, and we're looking forward to playing very, very well in front of our fans for the regional this weekend.
You mentioned that experience factor. We had John Cohen on at the very beginning of the show. That's one thing he was pointing to, this being such a different year, not just for, power programs, but, the mid-majors, because there are so many seniors and super seniors, experienced players all across college baseball that normally aren't here because of the COVID stuff. And as you were talking there, I'm thinking, yeah, you got all these first time going through it guys. Even, McLeod and Bednar's first time through any of this. Is that therefore an even bigger deal that this regional is in Starkville as opposed to being off somewhere else for them?
I think it's huge that we were able to put together a resume that hosts both rounds before Omaha, because there should be some comfort with our guys playing in front of our home crowd, and hopefully there'll be some discomfort for the teams coming in here playing in front of our home crowd. And if there is a positive that comes out of Hoover, is that, man, maybe we learn how to control our adrenaline a little bit more. Maybe we learn what the priorities are. Maybe we learn how to focus a little bit more on the right things. And again, I have faith in my guys that they learn, and they're smart. They have high baseball IQs, and we talk about all those things going in, but there's really no substitute for experience in the environment and going through and learning those lessons. And sometimes it's the school of hard knocks, and in Hoover it was the school of hard knocks. And I think our guys will come through it and be better for it. So I'm looking forward to them again having a great weekend here in Starkville. But as you mentioned, the experience, we have. I know that it's been talked about. I'm assuming I haven't been in the media world or the social media world since it was announced, but I'm assuming that there's probably some talk about the teams coming to our regional, and we don't have the Power 5 team or the big name teams, but because it's such a different year, some of these mid-major conference schools have way more experience than the Power 5 schools. They're very good baseball players. The teams that are coming in here will be very junior and senior laden lineups that have played a lot of baseball, and that's why they're good. Is because they came back, and a lot of the mid-major schools got the benefit of that because of COVID, and we've got 3 really good baseball teams coming in here.
Sure. You know, the experience analogy I've tried to use before, Coach, is like when I was 17 or so, I was taller than my dad, more flexible than my dad. I could probably even maybe lift, a little more weight than my dad. I could run faster than my dad. But I knew if I were to tie up and fight him, he'd whip me. I just knew it. And you couldn't point to any reason other than experience. I mean, the experience thing, ask Tanner Allen. The experience thing's a real deal, isn't it?
It is. It's one of the biggest factors, one of the biggest intangibles that, you can't overlook in our game, especially. Our game, the game of baseball is probably a little more mental than the other major sports, and the way you grow mentally is you experience it and you learn from failure. And we've played a tough schedule. We've had some bumps in the road. I think we've learned some good lessons, and I think that we'll be able to play our best baseball here coming up.
Coach Foxhall, really do appreciate it very much, and looking forward to watching your guys go to work on Friday. Thank you.
Hey, Matt, thank you. Congratulations on your release to Uneven, too, man.
Hey, really appreciate that very much. Thanks so much. All right, Coach, talk to you soon. That's Scott Foxhall, pitching coach, Mississippi State. Experience is a big deal. And I think for State, talented, deep pitching staff, and being at home, I think it's going to be a big deal for this one. I think that's why they get through it, get through the regional. We'll see. All right, I'm out. For Bill, I'm Matt. See y'all tomorrow. See you.
Another load of Smart Pills has been distributed, and I'm slap worn out. So I'll just say, so long, neighbors. Get me out of here, Percy.